Welcome. Happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. On this episode, we're going to cover how to transform an Imperial Stormtrooper Nerf blaster into a mashup with Borderlands. So let's get in it here on. Alright, let's see what the guts of this looks like. If you haven't already, something I need to invest in that you should consider investing in as well is the metal or magnetic dish to hold screws. I think that's supposed to be a game changer because once you lose these screws, that's it. So I'm taking this apart because I want to make painting easier without taping. As you start to disassemble anything like a Nerf gun, you really should be taking pictures as you go. I've got the recording, which is sort of the saving grace, but putting this back together can always be tricky. Now, if it turns out after taking this apart that the internals are more complicated than I want to mess with, you know what, then we're going to be putting it all back together and taping it anyway. There are some light up parts, and I'd like those to still be visible when this is all said and done. All right, moment of truth. Be careful pulling this apart. You don't know where wires or pieces are, and if something goes flying, you've just lost all the mechanics. All right, we got this open. It took a little bit of prying to get this off. Nothing seemed to break, but looks like it was glued a little bit, which is why it was so difficult to pull off. This is a little more complicated on the inside than I would like. And really, my concern is I don't want to get any paint on this, and I don't want to get any paint on this. But these are a lot of pieces that could easily get screwed up and lost. So I'm going to try to do a little taping to keep things together because I'm worried about losing some things. All right, this comes out. Stay together. Stay together. Stay in formation. This may or may not be a good idea. All right, so that trigger is really important. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is hot gluing a few things in place. Like I don't want these lights to come out here. I maybe hot glue the wire right at this point here, so there's no unnecessary tension. And then I'm going to reinforce this again with more tape, which I know sounds silly, but I really want to try to keep this together. When I'm ready to spray paint, I'm going to put these in like a Ziploc bag so that they're protected. And then we'll put some tape over these parts to make sure those are protected. But otherwise, I think we're going to be okay. And then we're going to do some sanding. The sanding should be minor. There's the Star Wars logo here, which should come off pretty easily. And what's nice is this is on smooth surface. It's not on, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's not on this textured. Which will be good so we can sand this smooth. And over here on the other side, some basic just regulatory language. Again, the goal of today is to transform the Star Wars Nerf blaster, but keep it functional and paint it to sort of like a Borderlands mashup. So again, I was able to get the internals out. I taped them together, as you can see, to put them in a plastic bag and keep everything together. They're still functional. I did test them. We got to get rid of the Star Wars logo here, and we got to get rid of the regulatory language that's here. It should be pretty simple. I've got some actually really, really tiny new files that I want to give a shot just for this. They're so little. They'll be perfect for this. And so we'll get started sanding. So this is going to be a graffiti style paint palette. I'm going to do maybe dark blue, dark purple, light blue with some magenta highlights and some yellow highlights, I think. And then I may do the grips in a brown. We'll see. All right. That was pretty painless, I got to say. Let's clean up, and we're going to wipe this down, and I'm going to take it for paint, and we'll be back when I'm done. All right. This is fully painted and with base colors and ready to go. I'm really excited about the gradation that I was able to achieve. This is spray paint. I didn't use an airbrush on this. And overall, I'm very pleased. I'm also excited. It still works. So now we're going to start doing all the detail work. To help ensure this stays on, we're going to seal the whole thing, so I'm not worried about this coming up later. I do want to try to get this into the grooves a little bit, so there's this indentation, so it feels like it's actually painted on to the extent that it really can be. Just push it into the grooves, and hopefully once we seal it, it'll stay. Part of the reason I'm using the paint pen for this part is pretty simple, actually. I just don't feel like taping and spray painting anymore. Just means I need to be a little bit more careful, and that's okay. So for this, I'm going to try again something different. I think it's always worth trying something new. I'm going to put an edge of purple along the grip, and then I'm going to use rubbing alcohol to see if I can blend it in, and hopefully that won't take away too much of the acrylic paint. If I really wanted to, actually maybe I'll use the blending marker and see if that makes a difference. You'd seal this first with a any sort of clear medium, gloss, matte, whatever you want, satin, and then you would do this. I want to see how it works. I want to see if the acrylic reacts, whether it's to the rubbing alcohol or to this blender pen. So we're just going to outline this, and we'll do the bottom first. Okay, so it is affecting the acrylic just a little bit. But you can see I am able to soften up the purple of the marker and sort of create this halo effect. I'm getting sort of this white gradation as well from the rubbing alcohol. It's kind of interesting. It looks a little bit more hand rendered, so I'm not opposed to that. Let's see what happens if I use the blender pen too. So actually this works better. Although it's also turning the acrylic paint a little white. That's okay. If you look at the Borderlands aesthetic, there are sort of these hand-rendered gradations. So I'm going to go with it. Awesome. I'm going to try to be strategic about where I put that initial dab of paint. I don't want to sort of overwhelm this at any individual point. I don't want it to be overly noticeable. I mean, obviously it's there. We're not getting away from that. I don't suggest that. But I also don't want it to be a focal point. Just trying to break up these colors a little bit and keep it more graffiti-esque. So we're going to focus on one side, then we'll go to the other. What I may do is just do a light gel medium coat over it. It'll protect the sticker from any weathering. And then once we actually do weather on top and we put a clear coat over it, which will unify the whole piece, it should blend in pretty well. Let's bring in some of this yellow from here over. So I'm not as worried about the yellow outline on here. When I do some black later to cover that, it'll be okay. But I want this to get nice coverage of yellow, so I'm going to layer it a bit because it is thin. So again, if you didn't watch the last video, I got these paint markers at Michael's. I've never used them before. They're decent. They're a little thinner than I'm accustomed to. These are, the paint seems to come out a little thicker. See, what I'm trying to do is I draw the lines as thin as I can, and then I thicken them out to give that sort of variation in line quality. It's amazing. You do this once, and if you watch that dollar store build, it did give me a run for my money. You see, I started over, and I didn't have a lot of confidence when I was doing that build, but because I've already done it once, that's changed the whole dynamic about how I feel about this build. And it's just a lot more fun. I'm more comfortable. It really is true, that idea that practice makes perfect. I have a better idea of what I want to do. This is coming out pretty good. I'm excited. I'm a lot more confident about this one than I ever was the dollar store one, which is over here, which I'll show. It's just a comparison. This one really got away from me. You can see the paint's all textured and thicker, and that's fine. We went with it. We made it more into a relic style piece. And I'm still really pleased with the way this came out. I'm still pleased with being persistent about it and not giving up. But this is just on a whole level of comfort that I never reached on this. And I'm really excited for the direction that this is going. I think it's leaps and bounds, at least from a comfort level, stronger than this was, even though I am very happy with the way this came out. All right, this looks pretty darn good. Let's see. The blending pen is turning blue. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. All right, I think we're done with the line work for now. We might have to do some cleanup later once we do some weathering, but overall I think we are in pretty good shape. Last thing I want to add, which I think would be fun, probably, is I think it would be fun to do a sort of a, you know, target count, as it were. Let's just leave it like that. Something like that. Just really want to make sure we hit all the spots that should be thick lines, so they really pop whenever possible. A little black in here. I'm going to dry brush onto here. I want to see if I can get some of this texture to pop. See what this looks like. Worst case, I can always go back over it in blue, but I would like some of this grip texture to pop. Even if it's not all of it, you go back over that with a little bit of blue, but I like that in general. Now, you know what? While I'm at this, since I'm already dry brushing, this is what I had in mind for the weathering. I wanted to do dry brushing on shadows in certain areas rather than full-blown like wash. But I want to get these kind of shadowed areas in. I don't know if you can see it, because it is really subtle. And I'm trying to be cautious because I don't want to paint it black. So I really want to be careful, but I want these sort of recessed, there we go, you can kind of see it in there. I want these sort of recessed areas. Just easily use my finger to pull it away a bit. Again, we want that kind of subtle shadowing that blends away. I know I said I was gonna seal this first, but I like this part. And I look forward to doing it. So if I can, I will. Do not want to go overboard with this. So I think we are in pretty good shape. A few pieces I missed, but otherwise I am very pleased with the direction this went in. Double check the functionality. All right. Let's get this dried and sealed, and we'll go from there.